in the strongest possible terms to look at the impact on small business, as this is one area that we are deeply concerned about. Thank you.
Ian Lavery.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to speak in this debate this afternoon and following the honourable member from Mead, Buckinghamshire, the Shadow Minister. I've got to remind him, Madam Deputy Speaker, that trade unionists are the bedrock of our communities. They are the producers of the wealth in this country. They are taxpayers. The ordinary, hard-working people. They shouldn't be basically described as the dirt on the shoes of other people. The minister, the Shadow Minister, could hardly hide his disdain for ordinary working people. He couldn't hold himself back in his contribution and basically opposing everything within this bill. I want to refer to my declaration of interest as a proud trade union member of the National Union of Mine Workers, of Unite the Union, and an honorary member of the Prison Officers Association, and also chair of the trade union group of Labour MPs. But it is, Madam Deputy Speaker, an absolute pleasure to speak today on a piece of legislation which turns the tide on decades of anti-trade union laws. Laws which have restricted the power of workers and seen the wealth of those at the top grow exponentially. Personally, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's fitting to see this bill in front of the Commons this week, because last Wednesday marked the 40 years since myself, my father, who sadly passed on, my brothers and thousands of my colleagues marched back to work at the end of the miners' strike. And although bruised and battered, the fact that I'm still here today speaking on this bill proves that whilst the party of vulture capital may have won a victory in 1985, you didn't win the war. But whilst this is a good bill, I think it could have been a lot better. And through time and further discussion and further legislation, it'll prove to be a great bill. Madam Deputy Speaker, I draw the attention of the House to the amendments submitted in my name that I think will positively strengthen and enhance this bill. It's on these amendments that I intend to focus the remainder of my contribution. Workers in the UK have never, ever, ever had the right to strike. However, since 1906, the unions have had protection against common law liability, subject to statutory conditions being met. New Clause 108 would establish a positive right to strike, bringing the UK in line with most of the democratic world. It would also remove provisions that make strike action unlawful if it turns out, retrospectively, that the action the worker took was unofficial. And I think this is important because a worker currently has to take in good faith that the union has managed to navigate the bureaucracy of taking action and that unscrupulous bosses cannot summarily dismiss if they have not. New Clause 109 is wide-ranging. The UK's ban on secondary action is almost unique in the world. Condemned on every occasion, the ILO have considered the position since 1989. When P&O Ferries flouted its legal obligations by not consulting over mass dismissals and by dismissing unfairly, the unions were unable to react by calling on dock workers and lorry drivers and other industries on the dock site to boycott the vessels in dispute. That was outrageous. We need to bring back solidarity action. I want to support people in industrial disputes. And section on New Clause 109 tackles that. This clause would put this right by ending the ban on secondary action, which that would have constituted. I would basically remove it. The clause 109 would remove the need to provide a ballot paper to the employer and remove an obligation on unions in long-run disputes to rerun the ballot every 6 months. It will enable industrial action to achieve recognition for collective bargaining. Amendments 347 to 348 would change the requirements for notification about the results of a union ballot, meaning they could be displayed online with ease of access to the public. Amendments 345 to 346 would remove the restriction confining pickets to their workplace. The reason secondary picketing was banned in the first place was because it was a tool that benefited workers and advanced their cause. Solidarity action should be an important part of seeking resolution to disputes. Madam Deputy Speaker, this brings measures that aim to end discrimination and place equality at the heart of the workplace. It gives key workers in social care and school support more say on pay and conditions through their unions. It brings measures to tackle exploitative zero-hour contracts. It gives protection against unfair dismissal from day one and extends sick pay rights. It repeals minimum service level laws in the majority of the Reactionary Trade Union Act of 2016. Greater rights for workers to organise collectively through their trade unions, and reduces bureaucracy on trade unions during industrial action processes. Finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, the howls of derision from those opposite show that the Labour government are doing the right thing. This is a good bill that should mark the start of a process. I hope the front bench and my honourable friend, the member for Ellesmere Port and Bromsgrove, who's done a fantastic job. I hope he understands and appreciates the fact that we all are just trying to strengthen this bill through the amendments which we are putting forward. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, whilst we expect the howls from the Conservatives, whilst we accept the howls of derision from the Conservatives, it's worth reminding this House that, indeed, reminding the country that the turquoise Trumpian Tories in reform have also opposed this bill at every stage, at every step of the way. Perhaps it's because as a company, and that's what they want to ensure that workers, for example, the member from Great Yarmouth, for example, is limited in how he addresses workplace bullying from the owner. Or perhaps it's because whilst they masquerade as a party for the ordinary men and women of this country, in reality they're simply a Margaret Thatcher tribute act with a sprinkle of bigotry determined to advance her destructive agenda at all costs, regardless of its impact on working people across this country.